First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Now that I'm here, I know that I can do just anything to make sure they have the life that I didn't.
The smiling faces at a new group home in Ocala show understanding and hope for teenagers who've become moms. That's our top story this evening. Good evening, it's September 17th. I'm James Torres.
And I'm Jenna Sands. Thanks for joining us. Marie Edinger was at the ceremony today and joins us now in the studio.
James, Jenna, everyone was so excited today because this project's actually been years in the making. This is a specialized group home, a home for teens who are pregnant and nursing. Insiders say this is all about finding practical ways to improve the lives of young moms and their young children. Rubricia Fulton, Breezy her friends call her, is 17. She starts each day almost like any other teen, except she lives with her 6-month-old and 22-month-old sons, plus 6 other teenage girls and their kids too, her new family. Today, a new group home opened in Ocala to give 10 more girls and their babies the same opportunity. Breezy says her new family would not exist without Diane Schofield and her nonprofit organization Hands of Mercy Everywhere, or HOME.
And they find themselves homeless, and we take them in here and they can live here and get their education and take care of their babies.
The second home will be for girls with infants, while teens with toddlers will stay in the house next door. The new home has 2 floors and each young mom gets a specially decorated room. Now, it was a long process, but Hands of Mercy Everywhere did everything they could to make this place not just a house, but a home. It's full of little gems like this bassinet that every member of Diane's family actually stayed in while they were babies. These particular group homes go even further than providing shelter. They also offer the girls classes on babies' growth and development, self-sufficiency. So the house moms aren't just parenting the teens, they're teaching them to parent, something a normal foster care might not be able to provide.
Children would come to a home like this or a licensed foster care placement because of abuse, neglect, or abandonment. So something has happened in their family of origin where they can't safely remain in that home.
Community-based care groups are funded through federal and state grants and also host community drives to get donations. All the extra support for this home was a great relief since out-of-home care has been on the rise recently.
The reality is the system needs more support, more resources, whether that's people that we're talking about or finances, in order to effectively serve the numbers that we're seeing now.
Breezy was living in Columbia County with her boyfriend and his mother before she met Diane. She left that life to start a new one for herself and her 2 kids.
They have something to look forward to, you know, because I didn't at the time, so now I do.
Breezy is back in high school now. After she graduates, she wants to become a certified nursing assistant.
Marie, thank you. And a story developing right now, a school bus crashed into a pond in Hillsborough County just a couple hours ago. The bus was carrying students from Mary E. Bryant Elementary School. All students and the bus driver have been accounted for, and thankfully, there have been no serious injuries reported. And Governor Rick Scott stopped by Gainesville today to honor young entrepreneurs with 7 Young Entrepreneur Awards. The award honors motivated and successful business leaders in Florida who are under the age of 35. UF President Fox and Gainesville Mayor Ed Brady joined in congratulating the young professionals, which included some UF alums. The leaders were then presented the award by Governor Scott himself.
I mean, it's actually great to actually have it. It's actually the support and see. It's actually the state of Florida. It's actually really blossom, and it's actually going to encourage. It's actually innovation and starting companies.
Now, Governor Scott says honoring these leaders is important because they are the ones that are going to solve major problems in the future.
And there are new developments on Gainesville's downtown firehouse rebuild. The preliminary stage has started and the design of the new facility is underway. The new station will sit just a block away from the #1 station on Main Street, making up the entire block from 5th Avenue to 6th Avenue. The back lot will be used for training while the front will have quick access to Main Street. Firefighters working at the current Main Street station will relocate to the newer facility.
Certainly we're excited about having a new station. Our old one's over 50 years old, so the opportunity to build a new structure and have new facilities is always exciting.
Chief Lane says space will also be added for expansion in the future to keep up with redevelopment in the area. Construction will begin spring 2016 and take about a year.
Well, it looks like a flood watch is still in effect for eastern portions of North Florida.
UF forecaster Rebecca Kopelman joins us in the Weather Center to let us know how much more rain could fall. Rebecca?
There could be a few more inches of rain falling, especially along the East Coast in the next 24 hours, as there continues to be some heavy rainfall in the area, mainly along the East Coast. So inland areas, really not too much rainfall occurring. Closer to the coast could be near an inch of rain. Right now on radar, much of the activity is along the coast and really just offshore. Not anticipating much more activity tonight for inland areas along the coast, though there could be a few heavier downpours as there is an area of low pressure out in the Atlantic. So that will keep rain chances elevated just a bit for the rest of this evening. Otherwise, temperatures will be falling through the night, and I'll let you know when these gloomy conditions finally come to an end coming up in my main weather forecast. Back to you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Well, tonight, people are still frustrated with rising GRU rates. We'll get another chance to complain to city commissioners.
Meanwhile, commissioners are considering what action to take after a city audit found overcharges in the bills coming from GREC, the new biomass plant operator. WUFT's Taylor Trichet joins us now live from the newsroom. Taylor, when did officials realize that this was a problem?
Jenna and James, this audit was suggested in May. Keep in mind, it's a very complicated billing formula between GREC and GRU, but the city auditor says within the first couple of days of working on the project, he became convinced the numbers would not reconcile.
The city auditor says GREC is overcharging 77 cents per megawatt hour. It may not sound like much, but it adds up to $900,000 since the biomass plant opened, and an ongoing $50,000 a month. The city says it's part of the complicated formula involving construction costs, fuel adjustments, and even currency exchange rates.
There was one element in the contract that would adjust that upward more if there was inflation between the date the contract was signed and the date the construction started.
The main argument is based on the currency calculation.
That was computed, the inverse of the dollar-euro exchange rate was used. Instead of the dollar-euro exchange rate, the euro-dollar was used, resulting in a higher figure because the dollar had decreased in value over the time.
Holt says GREC cooperated with the audit, but it doesn't agree with the findings. In a statement today from GREC, Albert Morales said the overpayments are another issue concocted by the city to further its professed goal of extracting concessions from GREC. The allegations are without merit and contrary to the plain example in the power purchase agreement. The calculation of the current construction cost adjuster was reviewed and agreed to by GRU and its expert advisors. Holt's audit found other flaws in the controls built into the deal, but he says the bottom line is that GREC monthly bills, which have been as high as $8 million, should be a little cheaper.
Well, GRU is paid more, almost $900,000 more than they should have. At some point, it translates to the ratepayers.
Holt says some costs get passed on to the city even for days when the biomass plant is shut down. That happens at times for a variety of reasons, and happens to be the case today. Reporting live from the newsroom, Taylor Trichet, WUFT News.
Well, thank you, Taylor. In Hernando County, deputies serving a warrant found facing a woman threatening them with a machete. Deputies ended up removing more than 3,500 knives from Nicole Dickema's mobile home. Her neighbors believe she suffers from a mental illness.
I would just like to get her in a home somewhere that will take care of her. I don't want her hurt.
Dickema is being held without bond on several counts of probation violation, plus charges of resisting arrest and assault on a law enforcement officer. And the state's next fish and wildlife budget could start spending more than $200,000 raised by selling permits for a bear hunt next month. A House Appropriations Subcommittee today heard a budget outline from the FWC. The agency wants to spend at least $100,000 on a program to educate people who live near bear habitats and perhaps assist them with buying special bear-resistant garbage cans. Lawmakers like the idea, and some want it funded at a much higher level.
If anyone ever asked you directions to Paradise Park, would you have any idea where to go? It actually doesn't matter because it doesn't exist anymore, but back during segregation, it was a local recreation spot for Black Americans. Many people living now in Alachua and Marion counties don't know the history, and because of that, one woman made it her mission to document and share the memories of Paradise Park. Welcome to Paradise Park. What back then was the sister to Silver Springs, back when there was a park only for white people and one for colored people. Today, these glass boats no longer tour Paradise Park, but still serve as reminders of the park's history. Not much else remains, and that bothered one North Central Florida woman the most. Cynthia Wilson Graham co-wrote a book about the park, and it all started when she saw pictures that made her curious.
I called my best friend's mother, Ms. Granville Bryan, and they started telling me where the park was, who I could contact to start the process, and then I reached out to my former school teachers.
Only to later find out that her kindergarten teacher was in a few photos herself. Wilson Graham invited former employees and park goers to Silver Springs last week to remember the time. One of the guests, a model at the time, remembers the segregated park very well.
We went and we enjoyed ourselves and thought nothing of the fact that we were on black side or we were on, or they were on the white side. That didn't bother us at all.
The river was shared by the parks, but their boat tours were taken down opposite sides. When the two parks were segregated, they shared one thing only, these boats, meaning anyone could see the river through the window of a glass boat. There were 11 lifeguards at the time and several boat captains. One captain remembers giving his boat passengers an experience to remember.
But that's all I enjoyed doing, was just making somebody else happy, making y'all happy, not me. I'm saying something to keep y'all happy. That's what it was all about.
For Wilson Graham, it was all about preserving a memory for members of that community.
It's important to them that we know the history, and oftentimes the history is in their minds, but the history has not been shared with us or anyone else.
But now with her completed book, there is finally a record of the stories of that era. And although Paradise Park is missed, that generation has become accustomed to calling Silver Springs their home. And just a little fun fact about Wilson Graham, it actually took her 9 years to gather all the assets of the photos, all the people, all the textual or context and all that. 9 years, and she was still able to keep the dream going and pull it off.
What an incredible legacy to leave behind. You know, it's supposed to be really cool to, preserve a piece of history in your own community.
Definitely, and for the people of Marion County, I'm sure they appreciate it as well. Well, WUFT News First at 5 is just getting started. Coming up, politics is heating up and even boiling over the debate stage.
And have you ever noticed the thousands of paper cranes at Shands Children's Hospital? We'll share the very special story behind them.
And we've had a lot of moisture in overhead the past couple of days, but some changes are on the way. I'll let you know when this dry air arrives and what that could mean for your weekend coming up after the break. Stay with us.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. The second Republican debate lived up to the hype, with CNN prompting the top 11 to call out each other on campaign claims.
So the Reagan Library stage quickly heated up with violations of Reagan's famous 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak ill of any fellow Republican. Donald Trump took a few unsolicited shots, especially at Rand Paul, but he was embarrassed by Carly Fiorina for his attack on her looks. And he was called out by Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio for telling them to campaign in English only. Bush also challenged Trump on other issues.
He supports Clinton.
Got along with everybody.
And when he asked Florida to have casino gambling, we said no.
Wrong.
We said no, and that's the simple fact.
Don't make things up, Jeb.
PolitiFact has sided with Bush on this one, citing a recent CNN interview and a 2005 story by Bloomberg Business. CNN will host Democrats in mid-October, and the next Republican debate is planned for the end of October.
And every Thursday, we like to check the pulse of health news.
WUFT's Danielle Prinz joins us with more.
Jen and James, 2 weeks ago I traveled to Shands Children's Hospital and I noticed thousands of cranes hanging above the lobby's entrance. Of course, I wanted to know how did they get there and what's the story behind them. My search led to a Gainesville mom named Kathy Lou. She says they're not just a decoration, they serve a higher purpose. At her Gainesville home, Kathy Lou is surrounded by origami cranes in boxes, on tables, and in closets.
Cranes are prayer, wish. In Japanese tradition, legend says if you fold 1,000 cranes, one wish will be granted.
For Kathy, that wish is simple, to find a cure for an extremely rare form of kidney cancer.
There's no treatment plan for this type of cancer. We know very little about this cancer.
Her 9-year-old son, Joey, was diagnosed with stage 4 translocational renal cell carcinoma, which slowly made the activities Joey loved difficult.
Very, very positive child. In the whole journey, he only cried once, I remember. Only once he said he cannot run fast now. because of a lot of pain in his tummy.
After a year of doctors trying to cure Joey, he passed away, leaving behind his mom, dad, and baby brother David.
And then sometimes he would say, when will Joey be back to finish his drawing? He will ask that, what is Joey doing?
What Joey's family is doing now is raising money for research by holding events such as a 5K, selling origami cranes, and generous community support. Volunteers have raised nearly $30,000. Kathy says folding the paper cranes is a way to stay connected to Joey.
It's amazing to me. This is something I actually never did before when Joey was here, and I'm doing something he loved to do.
This month, Kathy gave Shands 2,072 cranes, the same number of the young lives taken by cancer each year.
When they see so many cranes together, it's really powerful. It's a powerful representation of how many children's lives are taken away by cancer.
It's called Joey's Wings, and it will be holding a gala this weekend to raise more money and awareness. Did you know that for Hispanics living in the U.S., cancer is the leading cause of death? A new report from the American Cancer Society finds cancer death rates among Hispanics have been declining since the mid-1990s, but lung cancer is still #1 for Hispanic men, and for women it's breast cancer. Forget cocktail hour or golf, there's a new way to meet clients that more people are trying. It's a business meeting, reinvented, called sweatworking. People are using yoga to combine working with working out. North Carolina yoga bar owner Lindsay Cunningham says doing yoga with potential clients and coworkers takes the intimidation out of stuffy office meet and greets.
They don't have to go in work clothes. They're come as you are, have fun, and just be yourself.
But doing yoga isn't the only way to sweat work. Some businesses have employees go on runs, walks, or bike rides. I don't know how I would feel about working out next to professionals. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know. I'm sure this is really appealing for some people, but for me, I don't think I really want to be sweating in HD.
Yeah, a lot of people work out to kind of relieve some stress, but if the coworkers are causing you the stress, that might not be, the best idea.
Yeah.
Danielle, thank you.
Well, it's been gloomy out the past few days, and it hasn't seemed like the sunshine stayed at all.
That's right. Hoping that these clouds don't stay around for the weekend. Rebecca joins us now from the Weather Center. Rebecca.
Luckily, things are changing as we head towards the weekend, but we still have some rain chances to get through over the next 48 hours. For the rest of tonight, we'll still have those clouds, some areas of drizzle inland. There could be some even heavier activity, though, along the East Coast. That's where the flooding concern is the greatest, and a flood watch still is in effect until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning for our eastern counties and along the East Coast. That also continues all the way down the peninsula, excluding a few portions of South Florida, but it's because of a low pressure system that is in the Atlantic that's going to continue to bring the threat for rain, especially along the East Coast. Inland areas, not as much rainfall, really not adding up to much through tomorrow evening, but along the coast where there already has been upwards of 4 inches of rain in some spots, there could be another 1 to 2 inches of rain. So that's why there is a flooding concern through tomorrow morning. It could even be extended through tomorrow afternoon as the potential for rain continues. In the morning, there could be a few showers that sneak inland. I think Lake City could have a few showers, possibly some heavier downpours through much of the morning hours, including the East Coast. By the afternoon, that activity starts to slide inland, could have a few spotty showers moving through the area. Not much lightning or any thunderstorms in the area because of the cloud cover keeping us stable, and we'll start to clear out close to 7 o'clock here in inland areas, but a few showers could still continue along the East Coast through Saturday. There are some changes, though, as this low pressure system moves out of the area. It's going to take all this tropical moisture along with it and be replaced by some drier air. You can just see all of it waiting to come to us for this weekend, and it is on the way. Rain chances do start to go down on Saturday. There is still a slight chance for a few showers to make their way inland and stick along the East Coast. As we get towards Sunday, though, check it out. Nothing coming inland. Will be mostly dry throughout the day, and that will continue into your Monday as well. If you're heading out of town, though, and you're not going to be enjoying the nice weather here, maybe going to watch the Gators take on Kentucky, well, the nice weather will follow you there. On Friday, mostly sunny conditions if you're heading to Lexington. Driving up, there could be a few showers here. Mostly further north, there won't be as much activity. As you get towards Saturday, it'll still be a nice day for tailgating. There could be a few thunderstorms later on in the day as a front approaches. That's why on Sunday, it'll be less humid. The temperature only 75 degrees for a high, so in the morning on Sunday, you may need a jacket if you're heading back to Gainesville. The dry, nice weather will continue here. It'll be a little bit warmer here, though. Rain chances still elevated on Friday, lower on Saturday, dry Sunday. As we get towards Monday, rain chances start to come back just a bit and then really start to ramp up Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons. And also, even though our weather is calming down, Alachua County is still preparing for a potential active rest of our fall and winter. You can get more information at ufweather.org/getready and attend the Alachua County Prepares Fest this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Back to you.
Rebecca, thank you. Well, the fall sports season is in full swing for the Florida Gators.
One team finally makes their home debut tonight. WUFT sports anchor Connor Ingalls joins us now.
Yeah, the Gatorville volleyball team is in town. They'll take on the St. John's Red Storm, and we'll preview that match coming up. That and more in sports after the break. Seven games and nearly 4 weeks into the season, and the Florida Gator volleyball team still hasn't played a game inside the O'Connell Center. That changes tonight when Florida welcomes the St. John's Red Storm into Gainesville. Welcome back to sports. I'm Connor Ingalls. The Florida volleyball team has got to be excited to be back on their home court after an 11-day trip to Texas and Hawaii. But it wasn't much of a vacation for the Gators as they faced 3 top 20 teams in the nation: Hawaii, Oregon, and Texas. Florida would win against the Ducks and Longhorns, but they fell just short against the Rainbow Warriors. The Gators played in front of some hostile crowds on the road, and head coach Mary Wise says that's what makes coming home so special.
Wearing Florida on the back, you're going to get everybody's best shot. Well, magnify that when you're on the road. I think our team is really excited to play in front of the Gator fans.
And if you haven't gotten a chance to see them yet, let me tell you, this team is just loaded with talent, and it all starts with sophomore middle blocker Ramat Alassane. She leads the nation in blocks per set with an average of 2.23. Gator fans should also be on the lookout for a pair of seniors. Senior libero Nikki O'Rourke was an all-tournament performer at the Vert Challenge, and senior setter Mackenzie D'Agostino ranks 3rd in the nation with 11.76 assists per set. The Gators take on the St. John's Red Storm here at 7 p.m., and you can find coverage on SEC Network Plus or ESPN Gainesville 95.3. And Florida football announced this afternoon that Will Greer will again start at quarterback as the Gators open up SEC play at Kentucky on Saturday. Through 2 games of the ongoing battle to become Florida's permanent starting QB, Greer has thrown for 317 yards and 4 touchdowns while completing 74% of his passes. In nearly equal snaps, Treon Harris has put up 269 yards and 2 touchdowns at a 70% clip. While Greer starts Saturday, the plan remains to get both quarterbacks on the field.
You know, I foresee both guys playing. Nothing new there. And, I think there again, the partnership has been good. I think the team has settled into it. They're just out there competing.
Florida will be looking to keep their 28-game win streak over UK alive. Kickoff Saturday is at 7:30. Gator men's and women's cross country are all jacked up to host the Mountain Dew Invitational on Saturday. Florida is feeling good about themselves as the men and women placed 1st and 2nd respectively in their last meet. The coaches hope on Saturday the Gators will give it their all from start to finish.
We'd love to come out with a victory. Certainly that's our goal. But just seeing each athlete compete for the entire race distance, that's probably the primary thing I'm looking for this weekend.
The Invitational is the only meet Florida is hosting this year. Over 100 college and high school teams will be participating on Saturday. Races begin just before 8 a.m. And Week 2 of the NFL season kicks off tonight. The Denver Broncos will be in Kansas City to take on the Chiefs in an AFC West battle. Since joining the Broncos, Peyton Manning is 6-0 against the Chiefs. He'll try to avoid plays like that tonight. Both KC and Denver will be looking to remain undefeated and get an early leg up in the division. Kickoff tonight from Arrowhead is at 8:25.
Here's Rebecca.
Well, Jenna and James, one last check on where those showers are. Inland, not a lot of activity. Could be some drizzle later on in the day. Otherwise, out in the Atlantic, we're keeping an eye on the heavier rainfall. That's where much of the activity is. So there could be some heavier showers and heavier rainfall totals accumulating along the East Coast. Much of the activity, much of the flooding concern along the East Coast, where there already has been 2 to 4 inches of rain. There could be an additional 1 to 2 over the next 24 hours. Further inland, just some light rain over the next couple of days. Rain chances stay elevated tomorrow, going down on Saturday, mostly dry on Sunday, increasing rain chances for the next week. Back to you.
Rebecca, thank you. We'll be back tomorrow at 5, but your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org.
And here on WUFT TV, BBC World News is up next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7 o'clock. Have a good night.